Hello, thank you for watching my channel today. My channel is Your True Shelf and my name is Sarah, and today I'm going to be doing my wrap up for July. Not a very big wrap up because I spent quite a long time reading one book. So I started July reading one book and then I stopped it after a very short period of time because I wanted to read a book that I felt would help me through a difficult time. So I started that one, and then when I got a couple of chapters into that one, some books I'd ordered from the library came in, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to renew them because they'd be on request by someone else, so I had to start those ones. So hence why I have actually got quite a short wrap up this month. So the first book that I read in July was a book called Elmet by Fiona Mozley, and this is a book which was long listed for the Women's Prize for Fiction, and it follows our main narrator, who is a boy in his, I think, early teens, and his sister Kathy and their dad, and they all live in a cabin in the woods in Yorkshire, and they live a kind of off the grid existence, and the dad is raising them himself. And we know that the dad is a kind of a on one hand, he's like a bare knuckle boxer. He's a tough man. He's somebody that people are scared of, and he's been used in the past to sort of get money owed from people for other people. And we know that he's a really good fighter. And on the other hand, he is raising his children. He is he has sort of quite an ethical stance on some issues, and he'll help people if he thinks they've been hard done by, and he stands up for his principles. So he's quite a sort of split character, and it's all told from the son's point of view, and we learn about his sister Kathy and him, and about the dad, and they are basically going through a difficult time because it turns out that the dad has been building a house to live in the woods, but it's on a wealthy landowner's land, and the landowner basically wants them out. And you know that it's building up to this climax the whole way through, and you don't know what the climax is, but it's very dark, and you know it's probably going to be something quite dramatic, and it doesn't disappoint, I have to say. It's beautifully written, and it's quite, even though it's in some places the plot is not slow because that makes it sound boring, but it's not pacey. As it gets to the end, it sort of builds speed, and then I couldn't stop reading when I got towards the end. And can't say too much obviously because I don't want to give anything away, but I would love a second book. I don't think it's going to happen, but if there was a second book, then I would really enjoy reading it. So atmosphere is brilliant, the characters are great. There's also some talk of sexuality and gender and sort of family relationships, family dynamics, and yeah, I would recommend this one. It was a really good read. The second one that I read was The 4-Pillar Plan by Rangan Chatterjee, which I have done a whole separate video about. This is a non-fiction book which is basically talks of 4 pillars which make up healthy well-being lifestyle. So the 4 pillars are relax, eat, move and sleep, and so the book's divided into those 4 sections, and each section goes through how we can achieve sort of easy to achieve targets in each area to try and improve our overall health, and how each pillar supports the other in our own well-being. And it was a book that I got a lot out of, and I will be referring back to, and it's given me good insights for things to help patients with. And if you're interested in lifestyle or well-being at all, then I would definitely check the book out. And if you want to hear a bit more about it, I've done, as I said, a whole video just about this book because I thought it was so good. And then the last book that I read was Noughts and Crosses by Blackman. So this is a book which obviously is quite an old book now, but I've heard lots of things about Malorie Blackman and about the book, and I'd never actually read it. And so when I saw it in the library, just as I was kind of browsing, I thought I'd pick it up because it's about time I read it. And the premise of the book is it's about two families. So Steffi is from a black family who are referred to as crosses, and the male character Callum is from a white family who are referred to as Noughts. And in society, the black crosses are very much the rulers of society in the positions of power, and the white Noughts have previously been enslaved and are very much looked down on in society and disadvantaged and discriminated against. And it's a bit like a kind of a Romeo and Juliet scenario in that Steffi, the cross from the wealthy family, and Callum, the Nought, fall in love with each other, and it's a forbidden romance. The families aren't happy about it, society doesn't regard it as an appropriate relationship, and it's about how they deal with the relationship and about the prejudices which occur in the book. So it's a YA book, and I felt not as strongly about this book as lots of other people do. So if you go on Goodreads, it's full of 5-star reviews. I think for me, if I'd have read it as a teenager, I would have been giving it a 5-star review. And I think if it was a book that was aimed at adults, then I would have got more from it, because the idea in the book is really topical, really interesting, and one which opens your eyes. I think as a person who hasn't really experienced discrimination before, it really did make me quite shocked in places about how much discrimination was in the book. And obviously Mallory Blackman and people of colour have probably experienced this kind of discrimination on a frequent basis, which is really awful. The only time I've ever been really discriminated against overtly was when I was at a golf tournament with my husband, because he plays golf professionally, and I was just there supporting him. And he went into the bar after the competition to get a drink, and a man who worked there came up and literally put his arms out in front of the door and said, "You can't come in here, and women aren't allowed in the bar." And I was like, "Pardon?" And he said, "No, women are not allowed in here because you might hear language which offends your ears." And he literally blocked my path, and I was absolutely fuming. And I'd never been told before, because I was a woman, I wasn't allowed to do something. And I had to hold my tongue because my husband was there on a professional basis, and I obviously didn't want to make a scene and embarrass him. But I was so hopping mad, and I couldn't believe it. And I guess for some people that kind of discrimination happens on a really frequent basis, and it's just disgusting. And so this book has a really important message, but I felt it didn't quite, the characters didn't develop enough for me. I found them a little bit two-dimensional. I found I never really got to know them that well. I just felt, I think it was just because I don't think the book was an adult enough YA for me. As I said, if I'd have read this when I was a teenager, I know I would have loved it. So I think it's just that it's the age thing. And if she had written the book for an adult, like I say, I think that again I would have got more from it. But it was kind of the language and the writing style and the characters just didn't really do it for me, which I was really disappointed about, because as I said, it's a really important, interesting topic, and I think it's probably opened the doors for discussion, and I think it would be a great book to have in schools. But for me, I would give it a 3-star, and I'm sorry to say that, but I don't want to go against what everyone else thinks, but I feel like I have to give an opinion which is a genuine opinion. So that was all the books that I read in July, and when I finished Noughts and Crosses, I started another book about diet and gut health, which took me through into August, because I had to really concentrate to read that one. So that will be in my August wrap up, and I hope that you're all enjoying whatever you've been reading this month. Let me know if you've read any of the books and what you thought, and I will be back for another video soon. Bye!